Hey friends, Nava Hopkins here, and I am filling in for the amazing Jyll Saskin Gales. And we are about to dive into the ppc zone, thinking about all things AI. And you might think that it's all buzz, that it's going to take our jobs, it's going to get demand gen wrong and keep conflating it with discovery campaigns. Like there's a whole bunch of AI buzz and noise out there. But anyone that works in PPC knows that the opposite is true. And our jobs are only going to become more and more complicated, but we'll be more efficient and we'll get more done through the power of AI. And so this PPC zone is all about overcoming challenges in PPC, thinking about how AI can play that more central and powerful role while balancing the humans and keeping human empathy at its heart. PPC Zone was founded by Jyll Saskin Gales in 2022 to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. And while Jyll usually hosts the show, she has laryngitis. I just heard her. She's making a recovery, but we want to let her rest, drink lots of soup, drink lots of tea. And I am going to be your guest host for today, as I mentioned. I work at Optimizer. We help people manage their PPC. Think Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta. And we're all about automation layering. So this AI topic is very near and dear to my heart. But I also love seeing new and powerful voices succeed. So when Jyll asked me if I would guest host, it was such an honor. And we're going to spend about the next hour or so hearing from three brilliant perspectives. So whether you're tuning in live, watching the replay on YouTube or LinkedIn, or listening on your podcast app, here's what you can expect. Three brilliant speakers will share their expertise in a 7-minute presentation. Then we'll answer your questions in a live panel. So please make sure to include those questions, whether you're tuning in on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We are keeping an eagle eye on those questions. The first up in the zone, we will have a Google ad specialist who works in the local space. And I am thrilled that we're getting not only a European, but also a US perspective. So this is a true powerhouse presentation that every single person that works in local must pay attention to and inscribe on their heart. I cannot wait to learn from Nikolina as she leads us to 3 reports to save Google Ads budget for local services. Nikolina, welcome to the PPC Zone.
Hi, thank you, Nava, and hello, everyone. So I will talk today, I'm Nikolina Tomašković, I'm from Croatia, and I will talk today about 3 reports to save Google Ads budget for local services. So let me just start, just a second. Okay, so I do Google Ads for local services, and I've been doing this for more than 10 years. And I've seen so many local service businesses spend their budget on wrong locations, irrelevant clicks, and competing based on bid only. So it's just such a shame to see so much budget wasted on people who are in locations that they don't even serve their services at, to getting clicks from their not potential customers, and trying to outbid their competitors with bids only. So I'm here to show you reports that can help you with that. Okay, so first report is match locations. Oops, my headline is dancing, but I'm sure that won't stop us from learning about this report. Okay, so match locations report is useful because there is a difference between targeted locations and matched locations. So targeted location says where your ads should be showing, and matched locations where ads are actually showing. So the way you want to use this report is to see and to recognize which locations your ads are showing for, but you are not getting conversions from. And you want to exclude those irrelevant locations. And also you will recognize locations that are high performing, and you absolutely want to focus on those locations. So you want to refine your targeting. So with this report, you want to stop wasting budget on wrong locations. Okay, so next is search terms. And I really hope that this report is very familiar to you and that you are already using it on your on weekly basis and even daily basis. So why it's useful? Because it shows you exact queries that are triggering your ad. So again, there is a difference between targeted keywords and search terms. So targeted keywords show, it's like saying to Google, hey, Google, I would like to show my ads for these keywords. And search terms is how Google says, okay, I showed your ads for these terms. So if you among those terms, you see some irrelevant words and terms, you want to add them as negative keywords because you don't want to show your ads or even get clicks from people who are not your potential customers. Also, if you see something it keeps repeating and you see you're getting clicks from people who are just not your potential customers and you can see they belong to same audience segment, you want to exclude those audiences. And on the other hand, when you see keywords that have high intent and those clicks come from your real potential customers, you absolutely want to add those and then focus more on that audience. So with this search terms report, you want to cut irrelevant clicks with negatives and exclusions. Okay, and then third report is auction insights. So this one is useful because it reveals who you are competing against and whether you should adjust bids. Usually, many advertisers just like to outbid their competitors by simply raising bids. And by doing that, they just waste their budget, which is completely unnecessary. So we want to see if maybe there are some competitors with lower quality ads that outrank you. That's your opportunity to get better ads, to improve your landing page, and then to compete in a smarter way. And also, if you are losing impression share due to your budget, you want to adjust bids. There is no need to spend your money if you can get visibility and clicks from your potential customers by bidding lower. And then you want to optimize ad targeting to maximize efficiency. So with this report, you want to optimize bids and beat your competitors with relevance and quality. Okay, and those were 3 reports, so let's sum it up. So to save Google Ads budget for local services, you want to check match locations, so to stop wasting budget on wrong locations. You want to check search terms to cut irrelevant clicks with negatives and exclusions. And you want to check auction insights to optimize bids and beat competitors strategically. Okay, and that's all I prepared for you for today. Those were 3 reports that can help you do better Google Ads for local services. I challenge you to dive into those reports and see how it works for you. And feel free to let me know in messages on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Nikolina, that's all you have for us. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing perspective. I have to just say that you were able to so beautifully and succinctly explain those 3 reports, which are not only a mainstay in PPC, but then also really clever applications in under 7 minutes. Oh. Everyone watching, pay attention. Nikolina is ready for more speaking. So if you want to hear more from Nikolina, connect with her on LinkedIn and put those questions that you have for her on those 3 reports in the comments so that we can address that during the live panel. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit. It is time to bring on our next speaker. Let's give it up for our go-to guy, data-driven strategies and fellow nerd. Anthony Lloyd is a data engineer, although we're going to call him Tony because only negative energy calls him Anthony. It's only Tony. Is a data engineer, international business consultant, and he is going to be sharing all things on keeping perspective in PPC, which is a very needed topic. Tony, welcome to the zone.
Hey, I'm so grateful to be here today, guys. I don't have lectures. I'm going to give you. I'm not have a slide. I'm going to give you guys a lecture about keeping Google Ads simple. My name is Tech Tony. My agency currently internally manages about $3 million a year in Google Ad spend, helping businesses across industries and spanning 14 different countries. We manage and consulted on accounts as small as local bakers, all the way up to the United Nations, which is a Google nonprofit account as well. And I have about 12 years of experience in this area. And something I'm going to give you guys tips on and talk about is keeping Google Ads simple, which is the main point for the mass majority of businesses. Now, if you're e-commerce, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave you a little bit out of this conversation because that is a whole different ball game and deserves its own time span as well. But for everybody else, these are things that you can go ahead and apply to your Google Ads tactics today. So the first thing I want to drive home, if you're going to remember anything from me talking to you guys, is Google Ads, the point of it is to collect data, then sales. Remember, we work with having our ads show when they have the highest probability of receiving the correct engagement, whatever that engagement may be. Your goal should be to collect data, understand what works, what doesn't work. And once you gather enough of that data, then you can apply and optimize it to sales by refining audience targeting, copy, and bid strategies, whatever it may be. When it comes to Google Ads, your service-based business or whatever it may be, not e-commerce, sorry guys, one of the biggest pitfalls is overcoming your strategy and making it complicated, but getting caught up in what's called vanity metrics. And in short, vanity metrics are anything that distracts you from the end goal of whatever that conversion may be. For most of you, it's money in the bank for you guys. More leads, more clients, opportunity to close, more people, more business. A common mistake among small business owners marketers is assuming that more complex equals better results. That's not necessarily true. They add too many keywords, create unnecessary ad variations, or obsess over minor optimizations without a clear, defined goal in mind. This is what leads to wasted ad spend and poor performance, and a lot of times bad taste in their mouth when it comes to running Google Ads for their business. Before you even log into Google Ads, you need to be crystal clear on what you want to achieve. More phone calls, more store visits, more form submissions. Your campaign needs to be built around those specific goals. In my agency, for example, when we bring on a client, before we even touch a Google Ads account, we have a 60 questionnaire that you're going to fill out, and we're going to sit down and we're going to discuss and go over it. We practically hold your hand when we do this, regardless if you're new or if you're running Google Ads before, because there's going to be a level of expectations and things are just going to happen when you run Google Ads for your company. Now, avoiding certain metrics and what actually drives results. While impressions and clicks and CTR rates that was my Gemini AI that just kicked in during this conversation. While impressions, clicks, and CTRs may look great on reports, they don't necessarily pay the bills. If your ads aren't generating leads or sales, then what's the point? You have to make data-driven decisions. Too many times we see businesses that are just doing something because they see their competition doing it. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be doing the same thing as well. One of the biggest mistakes small business owners make with Google Ads is focusing on the wrong metrics. High click-through rates, thousands of impressions for no reason at all. They sometimes just mean nothing to the business, and you need to take a step back and look at the data, look at your analytics, the actual Google Ads GA4 analytics dashboard, and have an understanding of what that is telling you. Something my mentor always told me when I was having problems with a Google Ads account is go to the dashboard, go to GA4, pull it up. Well, it was GA back then. Pull it up and see what is the data telling you. As a small business owner, you may not understand analytics, but you do need to have somebody that can sit down with you and go over it with and show you what's important in your business. That's actually my role and responsibility in our company, is sitting down with our clients, looking at GA4 and seeing what's actually working and what isn't. Some of the things that you can apply right now to your business is phone call tracking. I can't tell you how many times businesses depend on their phone to ring as the end result, and they're not tracking that phone call at all. Form submissions on your website. A lot of times when we audit a client, we audit their website. I go in, fill out their form submission, hit enter, and that website does nothing, or they have no idea where those forms even go to. That can be a problem if you're running Google Ads. Foot traffic to your store. Yes, Google Ads just isn't for e-commerce and selling things online. It also works for people to be able to physically come to your location and spend money there. For a lot of my restaurant clients, that's what they need. They need butts and seats to place orders for meals, and that's what we use Google Ads for to help them. A pro tip here for you guys is Google My Business. It is essential to use a Google My Business platform and have that attached to your Google Ads as an asset. It used to be called extensions. They're called assets now. And they are supposed, with that connection, it's going to help you expand your ability to be in touch with more people that may not know that you exist and have the ability to see on Google Maps, as well as in search also. Speaking of assets, you need to be using everything that applies to your business that makes sense. Google data shows that ad extensions like site links, call-outs, structured snippets, they can increase the ad click-through rate by an average of 15%. And last but not least, the last thing I want to drive to you guys that's really going to help your marketer, because digital marketing is a two-way road. You're going to need to give me stuff for me to make you look good. Video content. Video is exorbitantly important, and we're not just talking AI generate stuff. We're talking actual video content of you, the owner, or you're showcasing your work and skill sets, so that us digital marketers can run a flurry of different types of ads that are going to help your business grow online. At the very least, grow your brand awareness as well. When it comes down to that, Tony, have any questions, concerns? I'm here to help you guys out. This has been great. Thank you so much for your time.
Tony, that was amazing. So much gold in such an abbreviated time. And I gotta say, I was not sure how this was gonna go, but man, you kept dropping knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb, no slides necessary. So if you've ever been questioning whether you could lean into public speaking and the whole idea of putting together slides intimidates you, just look at our man, Tony. He crushed it. So make sure that you put any questions that you have in the comments so that we can get to them during the live Q&A. But we have one more speaker. But first, let's thank Tony very much for joining us in the zone. Our next speaker joining us in the zone today is the founder of PPC Academy, and an active PPC consultant who's worked with household names such as JD Sports, Domino's, and Debenhams. We are about to hear about, in my opinion, one of the most important things that AI can assist but can never replace: the importance of storytelling in PPC. Charley, let's take it home. Welcome to the PPC Zone.
Hi everyone. I'm Charley. As Nava said, a PPC consultant and a very proud founder of the new Performance Manchester conference here in the UK. So let me start with this. Data doesn't lie, but it certainly can confuse the hell out of us. And today we are here to untangle that confusion. I'm thrilled to be here with you today in the PPC Zone with Nava and Jyll. And today we will be tackling something that every single performance marketer has faced: the KPI conundrum. Or as I like to call it, when your data is gaslighting you. So as some of you may know, the UK is best known for its outrageous drinking habits. So it did feel quite apt and fitting to use a quote comparing the current state of performance marketing to a load of old drunks. Marketing metrics should be like a choir, unified and harmonious. But too often, they're more like a group of karaoke singers that have had one too many to drink. And that's because we live in a world where if we can track it, God damn it, we will. And that makes for more KPIs and metrics than you can shake a stick at. A really great example of this is in the fitness industry, right? So it used to be assessing whether you're healthy. Do you eat healthy? Do you move? Now it's, are you getting your 8 hours of sleep? What's your VA2 max? What's your resting heart rate? What's your basal metabolic rate? So you can see how quickly when you throw in a lot more metrics, things can get quite overwhelming quite quickly. So what is a KPI conundrum? Well, it might look like Google Ads telling you your conversion rates are soaring, But your client's finance team says revenue's down. Who is telling the truth? We're drowning in conflicting metrics, and a lot of the time these days, if we don't control the narrative, the KPIs can lead us in circles, and as a result, real business outcomes suffer. Goodhart's law, named after the economist Charles Goodhart, states that we optimise for what we can measure. And when we pick the wrong measure, we get the wrong behaviour. So how do we make sure we pick the right one? In our data-driven world, we tend to overvalue numbers and undervalue anything that's soft or difficult to quantify. And we're seeing this issue more and more with the rise of view-based marketing platforms like TikTok, paid social, digital out-of-home, YouTube, you name it. We mistakenly think that the factors that we can measure are the only things that exist. We think that what we can measure are the most important things, and the parts that are more difficult to measure don't really matter at all. This is why it can feel super, super painful trying to justify and attribute a lot of the newer paid channels and even investment in upper funnel activity like YouTube and demand gen. Does that mean that they don't have impact or aren't worth doing? I think not. Let's look at this example of a third-party attribution tool measuring generic search. Conversions logged, revenue logged, but dun dun dun, Google Ads AP ad platform in the screenshot was telling a different story. Revenue wasn't just not aligning, Google Ads was reporting zero revenue at all. And riddle me this, how do you optimize and push a top performing campaign when you have zero data in platform to optimize? What was happening? Attribution chaos, that is what. But something that I do see all too regularly with clients not managing to build a coherent narrative with their data, their story was effectively broken. So when we dug deeper, we found that Phosphor, the third-party attribution tool, prioritised upper funnel and introducer traffic, and so was attributing more credit and revenue to introducer channels like paid social and generic search. At the same time, Google's own ad platform metrics were under-attributing credit to these campaigns because revenue is set up on a last-click basis, and these campaigns weren't where the user was making their final decision. So here's where storytelling comes in. Stories are how humans make sense of complexity. It's how we create meaning from chaos. Stories are 12 times more memorable than facts alone. And in marketing, a good story isn't just about a clever ad or a catchy headline. It's about crafting a narrative that aligns with business goals and the data that we're seeing so you can drive better business decisions. So what do we need for a good story in performance marketing? I hear you ask. Well, first of all, we need a protagonist. This is your one true north metric. So it's the single metric that matters most to the business. And for most businesses, that's business net revenue. Everything else, as Tony said, from clicks to CVR to CTR to conversions, it's all just noise and supporting cast. The conflict. So this is where the data doesn't actually align. And it is our jobs as PPC practitioners to identify the points of friction and ask why. Why does Google's story differ from your clients? Why is X platform over-reporting conversions? And the conflict also lays in the fact that your stakeholders, bosses, managers, are not always marketing experts. So what is obvious to you may be completely foreign to them. And a resolution. So the story only works when you tie it all together. In the case study, we looked at two different attribution models that, on the face of things, contradicted each other. A resolution in this instance is involving using a hybrid attribution model and combining that first-party data with insights from Google and other platforms to understand the true value of some of the upper funnel performance marketing and focusing on the only true north metric, business net revenue. So 3 quick fixes for you. 1, agree on your true north metric. This is a non-negotiable for PPC practitioners. And I'll give you a clue, it's not CPA. Understand the conflict. Understand why the platforms don't have the same story, because when you start to understand, you see that, yes, they are taking more credit than they deserve, but that doesn't always mean that they're wrong. And thirdly, focus on trends over snapshots. Daily siloed fluctuations absolutely lie, but blended long-term data provides more valuable context when we know the customer journey is no longer linear. So the next time you find yourself drowning in a sea of conflicting metrics, remember, your job isn't just to analyze the data, it's to tell the story. And when you get the story right, the results speak for themselves. Just chasing that one down a little bit too hard, I think.
Oh my goodness, Charley, what a note to end the presentation section of the PPC Zone on. That was, and I was messaging to the panel privately that was probably the most wholesome talk I have heard in such a long time. And I sincerely hope everyone is paying attention to Charley, because that is a talk I expect to see on the international stage, if not this year, the next year. Absolutely pitch that out. That is amazing. Everyone, if you want to get in touch with Charley, she's on LinkedIn, as is Nikolina and Tony. We are about to start the live Q&A section, but please make sure that you're putting those questions in. Note that the PPC Zone airs on YouTube and LinkedIn, and then of course is a recorded podcast. So make sure that you get those questions in, and if you weren't able to catch the visuals, not a worry. There's always going to be a recording that has those there. So we're bringing all of our speakers back on screen now. This is the PPC Zone, February 2025, and we are talking about overcoming challenges in PPC. I'm your guest host, Nava Hopkins, filling in for Jyll Saskin Gales, and I'm the evangelist and optimizer, but I really don't matter because I am here with Nikolina, a Google Ads specialist who just spoke about 3 reports to save Google Ads budget for local services. Our Tech Tony superhero data engineer, an international business consultant who just spoke about keeping PPC and digital marketing simple, and the lovely and wholesome Charley, founder of the PPC Academy, who just spoke about the importance of storytelling in PPC. Guys, that was great. So I'm thinking about the questions and the order in which we go in. And I actually, because Charley, you just spoke, I'd like to begin with something that you said that I firmly believe should be on a t-shirt. Data is gaslight you. I would love to hear, and I'd love for the group to each weigh in on a case when you have found that the data gaslit you and how you identified that the data gaslit you. So Charley, go ahead, kick us off there.
I mean, it's any YouTube campaign, let's be honest, right? Like it's absolutely any YouTube campaign. Because still to this day, even though it's Google's priority as a product, it's certainly, not got the same level of reporting complexity as a lot of the other channels. I think one of the main things that I would say is you have to now, in this era of marketing, you have to be using multiple attribution models, multiple attribution tools, because the moment that you just wholly rely on one, you're probably losing the context of half of the channels available to you. So yeah, YouTube continues to gaslight me for the entirety of my career, so it doesn't end.
Well, Tony, do you have thoughts on that? I know you were giving a big plug for video.
Yes. So what was interesting is we use multiple platforms to gauge. But if you ask any marketer, what's the one platform you use for gauging your traffic? They're probably going to say Google Analytics 4. Well, we were having a problem with the client's website that Google was giving us a really bad quality score, and it was not on their ads. On one that was being a YouTube ad, it wasn't reflecting what was going on. Well, in Microsoft Clarity, there's a metric called rage click percentage. And it's when somebody, and for those that are watching visually, it's just when you're just rage clicking on your phone or a screen, it actually measures that. Google doesn't. And we couldn't figure out the life of why is this dang button working? Like, why is it like I said, you go to analytics, you look at the data, what does it tell you? And sometimes it doesn't tell you the full picture. It's important to look at a separate source. For this point was Microsoft Clarity. We just happen to notice that metric. We're able to address the issue and fix that. And our quality score went up, which lowered our click, which lowered the client's cost per click as well. We're like, what's happening here?
Microsoft Clarity is probably one of the most underappreciated tools. It is absolutely free. It has minimal impact on site speed, on load. So if you have not tested Microsoft Clarity, here's the shameless plug. And Microsoft Clarity, if you want to sponsor the PPC zone, I know Jyll is just looking for sponsors. But no, in all seriousness,
about you.
Microsoft Clarity is amazing. I have nothing but love in my heart for Microsoft Clarity. Nikolina, I'm actually really curious. You made your whole presentation about those 3 powerhouse reports. Do you ever find that the data in those reports gaslights you?
Oh, definitely. I read somewhere, I'm not sure who wrote it, so I can't give credit, but someone wrote on LinkedIn recently that we need to work inside Google Ads even without data that we don't have, so we don't know what we don't know. We just have numbers, and we just, of course, there are ways that you check that your analytics is doing well, but in the end, we really don't know. We have absolutely we don't have 100% data. We all know that. And even Google and everyone who owns those tools, they don't know. Like there is no 100% guarantee that you have all data. So we need really just to get to work with different tools and sometimes even just simple logic. But of course, you want to see things in metrics and in numbers to get the whole picture. So, and I like to do things simple, especially because I work mostly for small entrepreneurs. So it's a kind of, challenging situation because they want to get the best from their budget. And again, they don't have a budget for, like some complex analytics and so many tools. So we have to work with less. So we need to be very smart, but, it's a challenge. But yeah, it's a fun challenge, especially when we succeed.
So Tony, there was a really good question that came up in the private chat on primary versus secondary events. First, do you want to give, for those listening, if they're not familiar with primary and secondary conversion actions, the definition, and then your take on using them when you're thinking about the different types of attribution and how that plays out with the different types of ads that you can leverage?
Absolutely. So they were called conversions back in the day. Now I'm aging myself, how long I've been doing Google Ads, but events are essentially the same thing. And when you work with primary or secondary events, it's what is the collection of actions that lead to an event that either provides leads or money or fill form. What is the end result? What are these people doing? Now, a lot of businesses, we have a couple different tactics. One, if they have a small budget, we use we call micro events or the secondary events. Like, what are people doing that starts the session of them becoming a client, and they go into a different bucket for remarketing purposes or whatnot. If the client has a larger budget and we're able to go the full path with events, the end result could be a phone call, a fill form submission, or for some, we have a client right now that is an event venue where we're running brand awareness campaign. Brand awareness campaigns. Now the types is skipping my mind. But anyways, it's not to get clicks. It's to have people see their ad on blogs, on websites, so they are aware of this local event happening. And for some of you listening, may sound weird. We're like, what? You don't want clicks? No, this particular type, we don't. The event that is going to be that it showed up for the proper persons, that they physically show up, which is actually this weekend, and buy tickets for this event. So a secondary event for some clients might be they land on a landing page and they download a PDF. You get that email from that PDF.
I think the question was more about the technical primary and secondary definitions. And Charley, Nikolina, definitely feel free to hop in here. Specifically, whether they are fed into Google or not. I don't know, Charley, did you have thoughts?
Yes. Sure.
I don't think. To be honest, I don't really tend to lean too much on the secondary conversions. I think we've just got a little bit more fruity with what we class as a primary. So obviously, you'll be familiar with it with local and smaller accounts as well as lead gen, is that there just isn't the volume of conversions there. So we've actually played around a lot with what we'd consider a primary conversion and kind of working your way back in the sales cycle. So, instead of looking at your opportunity one, looking at your opportunity generated, or looking at your sales qualified lead, or even right at the beginning, your marketing qualified leads, just to try and bump up the, like you say, Tony, the actual volume of data that you have to work with in Google. Because if you don't have that data there, you can't make the sales. So, it's all well and good having that perfect final outcome of this is what a sale looks like. But like you said, unless you have that big bulk of data ahead of you, like you're really setting yourself up for fail. So yeah, we've been a bit fruity with a lot of the stuff that we've been putting in as primary conversion, to be honest.
Well, I'm curious, Nikolina, you work a lot with local folks, and I would think that they would struggle to hit conversion thresholds. Do you find that you're starting to include more and more actions as primary, maybe using different conversion values, or are you still keeping less useful things as secondary just to keep an eye on it, but not actually feed it into Google?
Like I said, I do Google Ads for local services, and most of them are smaller entrepreneurs. So yeah, they have a challenge because they don't have a large, they don't have a lot of data, and algorithm needs data to make it work for you, right? But we need to have something. So I always make sure, I always get clear with the client what is their one clear goal, like one primary goal. Is it like a call, or is it a form submission? And there are some, like especially small entrepreneurs, they're like, well, we are okay with anything,
And that's everything.
Yeah, like whatever, like we are fine with everything. But then I just really, I really want to make it clear, okay, we just really want one main goal because we want to work for that goal. And then I put everything else as secondary. So I was just thinking that would be a good question for Tony. I would like to hear his opinion. Do you, Tony, use just one primary goal conversion, or do you have a practice to use many? Because I know there are many different opinions about that. And I just wanted to, before I turn to Tony, I just wanted to say that sometimes I introduce micro conversions because we need to give algorithm, more data. But then I really just want to pay attention because I don't want to optimize for just micro conversions. It just doesn't make sense, because you don't want to have more micro conversions and nothing else happens. It's just showing the algorithm the way where the data needs to flow. But yeah, it's like I think that this discussion about one or more primary conversion is, it's a good thing to talk about. So yeah, if others have to say something about this, they can join.
I'll shamelessly plug, Optimizer did a bidding strategy study, and we found that we could not see decent results unless accounts are hitting at least 50 plus conversions in a 30-day period. And there are just some businesses that are never, ever going to hit that using only one primary conversion. But the thing is, if you're going to use micro conversions, you have to use conversion values, and you have to be mindful about what you report. So to Charley's amazing presentation and the story you tell, there's also an important point about authenticity and how we report to our clients. We're coming close to the end of the live panel. I want to give each of you a chance to give one go-do to the audience. So we're going to start with Nikolina. Nikolina, what is your one go-do to the audience? It could be about your presentation. It could be about something else. It could have nothing to do with marketing. It could just be like, this is my random happiness go-do. But what's your one go-do?
Well, I talked about 3 reports. So I have 3 things they need to do. And I'm often surprised to see that people who do Google Ads for local services just don't check those reports that are really gold. You with just few clicks you can really save your budget, and I really encourage them to go through all those 3 reports and just use their budget more efficiently.
Tony, what's your one go-do?
Make video content. It's every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And no, your industry is not flooded. Yes, I make video content, and so I'm not the prettiest person online. I have followers, so the bar is low for video content. Make video content and make data-driven decisions. You may get the fancy reports from your marketer, but log into GA4, watch a couple of YouTube videos, and pay attention to what the data is telling you. Don't just blindly post a post.
Charley, what's your one go-do?
Oh, I've got a good one to end on. I would say go away and find out what metric your CMO or your chief revenue officer, what is the metric that they're deciding on how successful the business is? Is it Google Ads revenue? Because it's probably not. And once you understand what is important, what is being reported to the board, what's on the P&L, it starts to really put a lot of the things that you are talking about in the context of Google Ads and the context of the platforms, makes them so less important, because you go, right, okay, we're all pushing towards this one big thing. We actually don't really care about what the click-through rate is. Like, that's just by the by, that's just noise. We care about what the CMO cares about. We care about what the business cares about, and how we deem ourselves as a business to be successful.
So my go-do, just to round this out, and then we'll finish up, is we booked you guys for an hour of learning. We're going to end a little bit early. Take that 15 to 20 minutes and go do the things that you were just told to go do. There should be unmovable 15 to 20 minute blocks of time that is dedicated to your wild and crazy thinking, to your growth, to testing new things. And you have a 15, 20 minute block coming up right now that you can go check in with your CMO. You can go check in with those reports. You can do a little outline of a video, or honestly just pick up your phone and say, like, I just attended the PPC zone. Here are the 3 things I walked away learning from, and share it, tag the amazing speakers, they'll share it, and you'll amplify your content. So go do the go-dos is my go-do. All right, guys, thank you so much, Charley, Tony, and Nikolina, for joining us in the PPC zone. Our next event is going to be on April 16th, 2025, featuring John Greenhow, Marjorie Viston, I apologize if I mispronounced that, and the amazingly brilliant Dwayne Brown. If you would like to apply to speak at an upcoming event, this is an amazing opportunity. Jyll does a great job of amplifying brand new speakers. The PPC Zone website is ppc.zone. And I have been your guest host, Nava Hopkins. Thank you for supporting the mission to elevate new perspectives and insights in our industry. And we look forward to seeing you next time in the zone.